It actually came out of a country song. But the country song had such a strong message that it crossed over to Christian music and became a hit there also. The premise of the song is that a man gets news from his doctor that you have a disease or an illness that is going to kill you. You're not going to survive this illness. So, what does the man do? He runs into a friend of his not later that day, but sometime down the road, and they're talking about it, and his friend asks him, so, what do you do when you get news like that? How do you handle it? Well, the man answered. His response was, I went skydiving. I went Rocky Mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. I want no part of that. But that addressed kind of his worldly side, where he wanted to be and where he wanted to, even though he was dying, wanted to feel alive. He wanted to do things to make him feel alive. But that wasn't enough. While it covered part of it, it wasn't enough. So then he went on and he said, and I loved deeper, and I talked sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I had been denying. I was finally the husband that most of the time I wasn't. I became a friend of a friend that a friend would want to have. And I finally read the good book, and I took a good, long, hard look about what I'd do if I could do it all again. And then he saw his life. He saw that tomorrow was a gift, not a guarantee. And at the end of all of it, you'll have eternity to think about what you did with it. What you could have done with it, what I could have done with it. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever had that internal discussion? If I only had this limited amount of time, what would I do with my life? If you were told you were dying, what changes would you make? What plans would you put into action that you've had for who knows how long? One of the things I quoted that happens later in the song is, and I finally read the good book, and I took a long, hard look at what I'd do if I could do it all over again. That brings us up to the one on the left. They're more of the example of what to do so you don't have to ask yourself that question. What would I do if I have to do it all over again? They help solidify my thought about one point of church. In today's world, if people get upset at church, someone says something that offends them, or they don't like the music, or they don't like the way the pastor gives the message, they look for another church. At that point, we were going through a lot of changes here in the church, so I asked them, what do you think about the way the church is changing? It wasn't Harold this time. Thelma spoke up. Thelma said, we are not crazy. We're not happy with some of the changes being made. More about the way they're being made. But, and this was a big but God put us here. God put us in this church. This is our spiritual home. And we'll leave it when we go to be with Him. And that's exactly what they did. I hope that you saw from those examples, from the examples of the secular world, and from the examples of Christian brother and sisters in my life. I hope it brings the point home. It is my Christmas wish that each of you are the same as the subject in the song and say, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you are dying.